And overnight curfew for parts of downtown LA has now been lifted.
It's probably in the last several days, though. LA Mayor Karen Bass declared the curfew after days of ICE raids and immigration protests. KCAL News reporter Tina Patel is live downtown. Let's talk about how well they worked, what didn't work, and whether or not they are going to continue tonight, which it looks like they will, Tina.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet here this morning. The curfew lifted just about an hour ago, and it kind of feels like a regular morning. We're outside the Apple store that was actually looted a couple days ago. It was boarded up overnight, but contractors just came and took down the boards. We still don't know if they're going to open this store again today or not. That's something that I think we're going to have to wait as the morning goes on and see what business owners and what law enforcement decide to do. Now, I want to show you some video from last night, just after 8 p.m. when that curfew went into effect. There were still crowds in the streets of downtown. It took some time for them to disperse. As the night went on, we saw lines of LAPD officers on the ground, some of them on horseback, moving through the streets, clearing intersections. Around 9 p.m., the LAPD put out a message saying they had started making mass arrests. We're told more than 20 people were taken to Central Station for violating the curfew. LAPD says they should have more exact numbers later this morning, and we're also waiting to find out whether there were any businesses that were looted or broken into overnight. Again, they tell us they're still going through their reports, but it did seem to be less chaotic than in nights past. Now, Mayor Bass enacted the curfew, she said, to stop the looting and vandalism that's plagued parts of downtown since protests broke out late last week. And this morning, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, spoke out about what she's been seeing in Los Angeles and how seriously we need to take the crimes.
This isn't just looting to me. You think people just run in, take something, leave, and nothing happens? We're using the Hobbs Act. We are charging robbery to protect Californians under this. If you loot a store, we are going to charge you with robbery under the Hobbs Act, and you're looking at maximum 20 years in prison. But we're going to prosecute you for that. Identifying people now, it's a different world. The guy with the cinder blocks, we were able to identify him. Our National Guard, our Marines, they have come in to protect our buildings, the Marines have come in to protect the National Guard. It is total chaos out there.
So local officials taking this very seriously, and federal officials as well taking this seriously, although we will say that the National Guard, the Marines that we've seen, have been in a part of town by the federal building here in the business district where we saw some chaos earlier in the week. We haven't seen any of those troops in this area. Now, the mayor says she's going to be talking with local law enforcement today to see how they think the curfew went and whether it will be enacted. That was her initial reaction, was that it would maybe last a couple of days, but we're still waiting to get that exact report. So we'll let you know when that decision is made. Now let's check in with Mark Liu. He's at the desk. And Mark, you have a little bit of a closer idea or a look at where this curfew actually was, the parts of downtown affected.
Yeah, that's right. The curfew's since been lifted, as you mentioned, about an hour ago, but it encompassed a very large part of downtown, and it could still continue. I'm also going to tell you about a very serious deadly crime that happened in the middle of that curfew during the curfew hours. Come out to my screen. I'm going to show you right here. So this is downtown LA. The curfew encompassed this area, down the 5, across the 10, up the 110, and it was all of that area. Now, the major protests were happening in these areas over the last couple of days. This curfew ended at 6 a.m., but right at about 3:50 this morning here at 6th and Spring, there was a deadly during those curfew hours. I want to show you some video. You're looking at the large LAPD presence and this crime scene that's been set up. Call was about 3:50, as I mentioned. 911 calls reported some kind of an assault happening on the sidewalk during the curfew hours. Now, the first arriving Central Division officers from LAPD, they say they found a man on the ground suffering from a wound. LA fire paramedics tried to provide medical aid, but you see that canopy that's been set up. That man's injuries were too severe, and he was pronounced at the scene. Witnesses tell officers this appeared to have started with an argument, a verbal argument, led to a fight. Then that's the only description of this suspect is that it was a man. He took off running. There's no clothing description, and that suspect's still on the loose. Coming back out live here to me. Did it relate to the protests or any of the looting? LAPD says they have no information about that yet, but they are working to continue that investigation.